that Kashmir had a separate constitution than the Constitution of India. We had Indian Penal Code. They had a Ranveer Penal Code, which was a separate code.
You can imagine you are capturing the daughter of Home Minister. You starve the people of opportunities, then you create a fertile group of people who can be used as militants. If you have a doubt 370 was temporary provision or a special provision in the constitution, it is written, this is temporary provision for Jammu and Kashmir.
Hello and welcome to Lokatantra Chats. I am Prasanna Naidu, previously a lawyer and now a content creator. And joining me is Mr. Rahul Deodhar, who is a practicing lawyer in Bombay High Court and an active investor as well, and also an author. So today we plan to talk about Article 370 and what was the life of Jammu and Kashmir before Article 370 and after Article 370. So to start with, let's know what was Article 370 or what is Article 370 and what were the provisions which were discarded in 2019. So, Rahul sir.
Thank you. This is interestingly a very difficult topic and one of the most complex things that has been done. So let us start with, I think, it is important to start with history and how Article 370 came into being. And then we can move into something very specific as to after the repeal of Article 370, what was the effect? But, if you look at the India of, and we have discussed this in earlier podcasts also, the India before 1947, that is just like 1 year before, even on 1st January 1947, it was not the India that we know of today. Or even it was not even Pakistan or Bangladesh that we know of today. What it was is like 560 princely states and a British India. These were the two components of India. Okay. So when it was decided that India will get independence, then all these princely states had an agreement with the British state. They were sort of a protectorate. The British Army and British politicians used to govern their external affairs and trade within and in and out of these countries. And they had certain powers which is restricted to their own kingdoms. So when Britain wanted to leave, or Britain decided to leave, the option was given to them. There were three options, basically either join India or join Pakistan or stay neutral. Now, many of these states were small states. They were not, they were quite integrated with the whole of the country. So most of them decided that they will want to join with India or Pakistan, as the case may be. Okay, these are small territories. Now, to facilitate this, there was an instrument of accession. Now, this instrument of accession is sort of developed in a very standardized template. It's a 2-page document with another 2-3 pages of annexures and schedules. But it is a very simple document. It is not a very complex, or it's just a pro forma. In old times, they used to print the document and make a 150 to 500 copies, 1,000 copies. Like that, this was a printed document. Okay.
Yeah. Probably the shortest legal document.
Yes, shortest legal document for such a important property. So as a property contract, it is like very simple, very short. It even has blanks for the name of the king, the name of the kingdom, the date, and there is no other blanks. Okay. So all of these 500 princely states, some of them at least, they chose to align with India or Pakistan and did what sort of agreement. But the same agreement pro forma for India, there is only one pro forma, and you can go to, there's a website where it is available. You can go on government website where all the archives are available. You can see every state, including Mysore, Travancore, Cochin, all of them, whatever they have signed, is the same thing. Okay. So this was instrument of accession, which was available to the princely states. Now, this instrument of accession, some states did not choose to sign. and Hyderabad and other will deal with them separately. But one of the states which did not want to sign this or did not sign this right up front was Jammu and Kashmir, right? So in 15th August 1947, Jammu and Kashmir was not part of the Republic of India, and not Republic, that time the country of India. And Jammu and Kashmir had a kingdom. The king was Raja Hari Singh, and his prime minister was, I think, Meher Chand Mahajan was his prime minister. And they were sort of thinking about what to do when there was an invasion into Kashmir. Now, at the time when there was invasion of Kashmir by the Pakistani army disguised as shepherds and rural folk, they invaded Kashmir and they started slaughtering people. So that is the time when Kashmir signed the instrument of accession and became a part of India. India then sent out its army, and there was a big battle where the current borderline is drawn. Now, if you look at that, between the invasion of Pakistan and between the signing of the instrument of accession, there is a most interesting period which not many people have focused on. So the invasion happened on something like October 19th or something. October 20th, Raja Hari Singh offered to sign the instrument of accession. Okay. But India refused to, Nehru refused to accept this instrument of accession. It was later signed on October 26th.
Why did he refuse?
That is the $1 million, $1 billion question. But I'll tell you that. Instrument of accession was signed on 26th, 27th, Indian army landed in Srinagar and then they started their offensive. Now, one of the important thing is what happened between October 20th and October 26th. And one of the things is that he, as per the book of the Prime Minister Meher Chand Mahajan, it is clear that he says that we have offered and threatened to, threatened Nehru that you accept the instrument of accession. Okay. So on 26th, finally, what he said was, we are now, you have to get this instrument of accession and send the army. At this point, okay, Nehru makes an offer that Sheikh Abdullah, who is a friend of Nehru, after accession, the king has to transfer his power to Sheikh Abdullah as a term in the accession, meaning as a condition of accession. It is not mentioned in the instrument of accession, but it was understanding. Okay. And that is how Farooq Abdullah's father, Sheikh Abdullah, became the chief minister and so-called, in charge of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay. Now,
so Omar Abdullah's grandfather.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Now, this is where it becomes interesting because this happened, this was accession the same for everyone. There was this understanding that Sheikh Abdullah will succeed Raja Hari Singh. That is another adjustment that was made outside the thing. But that time we didn't have a constitution, right?
Right.
So there was no guarantee that this will be implemented.
Okay.
Okay, or this is a simple statement that is done, and yes, Sheikh Abdullah will become the chief minister, but what else? Right? After then there will be elections, and then there will be, he will go off if he is not a popular leader. So there was nothing untoward till now except this weird bargaining in favor of Sheikh Abdullah for no reason whatsoever. There is no other instance of this kind of bargaining. Then interestingly, when constitution was being drafted, this special article had to be inserted into the constitution to grant these special powers to this particular state. Now, if you look at Article 370, forget Article 370 for a minute, look at Article 371, which is the part of the same Chapter 20 of the Constitution, which is temporary and special provisions. Okay. And, if you have a doubt whether this is temporary, 370 was temporary provision or a special provision in the Constitution, it is written, this is temporary provision for Jammu and Kashmir. So just to get that out of the way. But look at Article 371 for an instance. In Article 371 has 371, and then it goes from 371A to B, C, D, like I, it goes. And it creates some special, terms for different states. It's like 371 itself says ki there is some special treatment for people from Vidarbha within Maharashtra and Gujarat. Then there is 371A goes to some other state. Then, you have special center will start a university in Andhra Pradesh. These kinds of provisions, they keep going. People will protect the rights of tribals of Manipur or something. Or these kinds
there
of
are provisions for
there.
Northeast states. Yeah.
Yes. So these all provisions, if you look at that intent of these provisions, you will realize that these provisions are protecting the people from the state.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you go and read Article 370, okay, you will find that Article 370 protects the Jammu and Kashmir politicians from the Indian state. It doesn't protect the Jammu and Kashmir population. In fact, there is an ancillary article which was inserted, Article 35A, which does not appear in the Constitution. It was surreptitiously inserted. That article specifically states that Indian state will not interfere with the population of J&K. I mean, the meaning of it is that the legal effect of it is that Indian state will have no control or no benefit to, no connection with the population of J&K. But in 370 protects the politicians of Kashmir or the rulers of Kashmir. They don't say politicians. But if you read the effect of 370, it is that the rulers of Kashmir are protected. 335 says that population will not be interfered with by Indian state. So what are we doing? So this 370
so indirectly we are saying that rulers will have complete control over the population.
And now you read it exactly. And now you read it with the adjustment that Nehru did with Sheikh Abdullah. So what it means is that these articles
he made
and
him
these
the
adjustments.
Ruler.
Exactly. So this becomes the sort of crystallization of Sheikh Abdullah as a ruler of Kashmir. Okay. Instead of, now it's not technically a ruler because Kashmir also has a constitution which has elections. Okay. But the ruling class is protected from interference. So Indian state cannot do anything. Now we'll come to your question, which is what is the, what is this Article 317? What is the effect of that?
Yeah, you actually came to that, as you said, that Kashmir had a separate constitution than the Constitution of India. So we had a constitution, despite Jammu and Kashmir being part of India on paper, we have a separate constitution and Kashmir have a separate constitution. And
separate
few
flag.
provisions, few provisions which I remember are, one was the laws, mainly the criminal law, Indian Penal Code. We had Indian Penal Code. They had a Ranveer Penal Code, which was a separate code. Then there were things like Indian citizens can't buy property in Jammu and Kashmir. Then if any citizen of Jammu and Kashmir marries an Indian citizen, they lose the property rights, if I'm not wrong, in Jammu and Kashmir. And yeah, these were the things which I remember. And the people of Jammu and Kashmir, the citizens there, have dual citizenship. Like they are citizen of India and they are citizen of Jammu and Kashmir as well, which is a part of India on paper, but still they have separate citizenship over there. So yeah, if you remember some more.
I think, let me intervene there. In that citizenship is another element. Okay. The people of Jammu and Kashmir who are not in Jammu and Kashmir are also the citizens of Jammu and Kashmir.
Okay. So
Now,
we
who
are
are these
also.
people? No, people of Jammu and Kashmir, people who are of
Acha.
Jammu and Kashmir,
Hmm.
but who are not in Jammu and Kashmir at the present moment. They have been also conferred the citizenship. Now, who are these people? They are people of Kashmir in Pakistan. Okay. Now, this is
Oh,
an
okay.
okay. Now you can see, you know, it's like a open house for any Pakistani to claim that he's Kashmiri and then claim citizenship, and in cahoots they can arrange citizenship for any terrorist.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. The second element is that if you are a Kashmiri and your family is Kashmiri, next 2 generations of you, provided you are marrying within Kashmiris only, will continue to be Kashmiris. Okay, you will continue to have the claim of citizenship, which opens the door for any and all sorts of, there are no records. Sometimes if you go and search, your grandfather's birth certificate, there will be no record. Or there could be record. I mean, I'm not saying about your grandfather, but many people's grandfather who are born in 1911 to 1950s, there is no record. There's only school living certificate, which is taken as the birth certificate, indication of birth certificate. Imagine all these kinds of things happening so you can imagine what was going on. Okay. Now Nehru has agreed to this, and based on this, but there is another factor to it, that the location of Kashmir is such that there is intense geopolitical significance of that place, because it's the place where actually China, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and India meet. Okay. That part is now in Pakistan, but that part has got very high significance. So it was very important to defend this part, and it was very important to sort of create the defense infrastructure so that it is, well built out. So you cannot have a security lapse in Kashmir, because that will be a end of it. So Indian Army had to be stationed there. And so you can imagine there is a need for Indian state to support certain activities within Kashmir, okay, for sustenance of Indian Army and their defense positions. All of this infrastructure has to be built, the defense infrastructure is separate, but the non-defense infrastructure has to be built in cahoots with the J&K government. And how is that? The center just writes a check to J&K government. J&K government does what it does, and hopefully the infrastructure is built. Right? So J&K government essentially became the money manager of Kashmir, with no legal recourse if they are doing corruption, if it's not getting built, if they delay what. And actual benefits of this were taken by the people in power. Okay. Now, naturally, if you make a system where one person is, it's a overall democratic system, but it's clearly favoring one, group to be in power. The other people who are approximately close to power, they will also try to get into power, because then you are set for life. And that is where this Mufti family has come in, and the other people. And see, there is still election in Kashmir. So if you want to get votes, you have to create a sort of dissonance with the government. Okay. You have a neighbor, Pakistan, which is intent on creating social unrest and terrorism in that area. Okay. So it is a ripe movement, ripe, it's like all the bad things come together. And because of this, extreme separatism was promoted by leaders of Jammu and Kashmir. Extreme social unrest was promoted by these people in power. And once it is promoted, it gets out of hand. Okay. So they also got killed. Some of them also got killed. In fact, when the Mufti, the main fellow, Mufti Muhammad Saeed, he was the Home Minister of India that time.
Oh, okay.
Okay. His daughter was abducted by this Yasin Malik.
Who
people are now saying, he should not be
case.
hanged. The famous flight case is another one, but this Yasin Malik, you can imagine you are capturing the daughter of Home Minister. Many people said that this is actually some shady deal between Mufti and this, but this is clearly Mufti promoted some elements, they got out of hand and they started, attacking them only. Now, if this was the background, all the money is being going, it's like a, Indian government was spending more money on Kashmir than many of the states. Okay. So where is this money going and what is happening? There was no clue. Now, because this Kashmir Valley is highly populated and these families are in very high degree of control over the finances, they used to keep this as a tight thing. Now, Jammu and Kashmir is not just Kashmir. It's also Jammu and also Ladakh. Where, so the geography of Kashmir is a small place. Okay.
Yeah. Jammu
It's
and
a very
Ladakh are
small.
always like lost in the conversation.
Exactly. No, and you have to understand that Kashmir Valley is very small. Okay. And it is highly populated. Jammu is fairly populated and it's fairly, it's bigger, but it's fairly populated. Ladakh is huge and it's very light, hardly populated. It's very limited, small population. So these two were ignored. So when all these conditions became, with the aggressive China and interfering Pakistan, a fount of terrorism that existed, a corrupt governmental system, which did not allow any sort of development. See, if development happens, there is a interesting concept. Okay, why these kinds of disturbances happen in poor countries, or if disturbances happen, it turns into a poor country. Because the minute disturbance happens, economic development goes away. And if there is economic development, there is no incentive for disturbance. You will make a legal route to vent your feelings.
Yeah, by when disturbance, you are saying separatist movements, terrorism.
See,
law and order problem, basically.
Separatist movement is just only one form of disturbance. Okay. I tell you, in South, they are creating a Dravidian movement. Okay. They are saying, we are we are backward class, but we are the descendants of Ravana, who was the Brahmin.
Yeah.
And we are backward class.
Yeah.
Not even
and we
OBC.
Are separate from Aryans.
No, we are directly, beyond SC, ST, and we are beyond them. Okay. That is their argument. But we are descendants of Ravan. And we were rich, and these, North Indians have taken away our money. Fair. I mean, so separatism can be created for no reason. The point is that these kinds of things always have a backlash. Okay. But the main thing is, if there is economic development, nobody will buy these theories. Okay. And because you want them to buy these theories, you don't let them develop. Okay. And you don't let them get any status, because if they go out of Kashmir, they will lose their status.
Okay. So as you said, money was flowing into Kashmir a lot, and there were no accountability. So, what is the process of this accountability for other states? Like, they have to provide some like documents every financial year.
No, not just that. See, every citizen of India in any state is served by 3 governments. Okay.
Right.
In various capacities. So city government, state government, and central government. Right. So if he is getting good central services, but he is not getting good state services, he knows, he should be intelligent to know that state government is a problem. If state government is giving good services, central government is giving good services, but city government is bad, then People don't understand. People say that potholes in Mumbai are responsibility of Modi, but nowadays people blame BMC or local corporation for the potholes in the city. But you have to remember this. People understand and get benefits from other side, and there is also information that comes in. Central government has given this grant, and this new institute has come up. There is a new institute of engineering college which has come up. There is a new hospital which has come up. So these kinds of benefits are seen. In Kashmir, anything central government has to do is only write a check and give it to this state government. And state government will decide whether to build a hospital, in whose name, in what, all that. Okay. Now, when this kind of thing happens, you have no control, and there is a history of this money finding its way into terror groups as sort of a, it's like a ransom only, but you can say it is as sort of a payment to keep quiet or create disturbance or not create disturbance depending on their choice or their convenience. So the center will not only pay that much, right? Still, center was paying a lot of money in Kashmir, spending a lot of money in Kashmir. Okay. So when Article 370 was a temporary provision inserted into the constitution.
Yeah, which lasted more than 70 years.
More than 70 years. So it was we have to do we can do a separate episode on how the legal maneuvering was done to eliminate Article 370, but it was eliminated. And Article 35 was also eliminated. This gave the citizens of Jammu and Kashmir a direct access to the infrastructure, whatever benefits the government was giving, direct access. Okay.
Right.
Now, this allowed them to see firsthand what is the benefits coming to, what is the infrastructure spend coming in. There was a lot of spending going there. And in fact, in the last 5 years, the Jammu and Kashmir economy has doubled. So their GDP, state GDP, has doubled in 5 years. In the next 5 years, it's going to double again. Okay. In the last 1 year, that is, they did a G20 meeting in that. Okay. In that time, about, Saudi, UAE and Middle Eastern investors, European investors, American investors. And now, yesterday, the news was that Switzerland is also considering investing 100 billion. The amount of investment that is coming into Jammu and Kashmir is unbelievable, because just the law and order situation has been taken away. And now there is a rule of law where corruption is eliminated. And now, you can see the economic opportunity is just multiplying.
Right. Right. So before also, there was like people from outside India were able to invest in Kashmir, but they didn't because of the terrorism problem, because of the law and order situation. Now, as it has reduced a lot. Recently, there was also a report which said that law and order situation, which was there before, has reduced, like the terrorism and other things.
Exactly. So see, there was also a restriction in property rights. Okay. Now this restriction in property rights usually is said that is considered to be the reason. But such restrictions are there in Himachal, in many of the mountain states. You have some restrictions on property rights for other people buying property. But that hasn't stopped investments from coming. That is because investments you have to have law and order.
Of course.
Basic safety. Okay. Then you have to have, good infrastructure. You can go there and come back. Now, once you start getting that taste of infrastructure, you will realize a lot more development is possible.
That was one major reason why Bihar was so underdeveloped.
Exactly. Right? Bihar still, the law and order till they sort it out properly. You will have problems.
Okay. So to summarize the current situation, in Kashmir, I can say after abrogation of Article 370 or modifying Article 370, however one have to see it, when we use it, the crime rate in Kashmir has reduced a lot because investments are coming in from outside, within India also, outside India also. And due to that, employment rate is improving. People are getting more opportunities, which was the main reason of youth of Kashmir joining terrorist forces, terrorist groups, because there is no employment. So they don't, how will they survive? So that was one reason which these people, the terrorist groups, used to, exploit, and by offering them money and using their religion, they used to kind of convert, brainwash, and convert the young minds of Jammu and Kashmir, and make them join these terrorist groups. But now that has reduced a lot, which was the main reason, the main problem in Jammu and Kashmir. Because I personally, like, I was born in 1994, in the 1990s, and this was the period where this problem was like at its peak. And what I remember as a 1990s born, whenever I used to hear hear this word itself, like Jammu and Kashmir, the only visuals I used to get in my mind is about people throwing stones, like the stone pelting part of it, and Indian army throughout the city, roaming around with huge guns and their big, armored vehicles and all. That's that's it. That's all I know about Kashmir. I didn't know, I know about it, like a bit of the tourism bit, like the Dal Lake and all. That's it. Nothing, because I haven't visited that place also. That's one reason. But these are the visuals which I get because I have seen just this from the news channels, nothing apart from this. So now I see that it is improving because I have seen through it, through media and social media. Lal Chowk Pe, it was quite an impossible task to even hoist the Indian national flag. Okay. And now I recently saw a video where on 26th January, Lord Rama's picture was, what is that? They had just put it over there
Projected
on
on
the
that, yeah.
projector, yeah, projected over there. So this is a phenomenal change. Apart from that, you please tell me what changes have you seen?
So I'll tell you, I visited Kashmir in 1988, that just before the whole mess started. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So we were, we were amongst the last tourist, not last, but yeah, that 1988 May, June was probably the last peaceful tourist season in Kashmir. Okay, before the militancy, I'm talking about. And after that, it only became words. But that time also, there was poverty, meaning there was not enough economic opportunity. Though it is such a beautiful place, one could see that there is a lot of underdevelopment. Even in Srinagar, if you go to Srinagar, and which is the main city, or if you go to Pahalgam or other places, there was not much of a development. But it is exceedingly beautiful place, as is any Himalayan plateau with rich soil and river flowing through it. So it was good in agriculture. It was good in weather. It was good tourism potential, snowfall, lakes. Everything was possible there. But you can see even then that it is not enough development that you see. Now, after I was a kid that time, but after that, I had the opportunity to visit Simla. I had the opportunity to visit many of these cities in Northeast. And I also had the opportunity to visit some of the most pristine cities in Europe and New Zealand and Australia also. But I realized that the amount of development that these people have put in these European, Australian, New Zealand places, that makes a lot of difference. And it's not just mindless development. Okay. So in many places in Northeast, I saw that some amount of development is becoming like a mindless development. Now you have to be mindful in the hills, in the particularly with Himalayan kind of hills. So there is a lot of potential, no doubt, but you could always see that, and this is the one of the reason, like you rightly pointed out, the reason for militancy is that people don't get opportunities. Okay, you starve the people of opportunities, then you create a fertile group of people who can be used as militants. Okay, so that is exactly what has happened, because this starvation, economic starvation, has been going on from 1947, and it is only now that the real, after a decades of sort of famine, you have now experienced a harvest. And now you are, that is the feeling, because once you get into economic development, once you get into good education, once you get into like matching the competencies in the world globally, then you realize that you can go far ahead instead of getting entangled in terrorism. And this is what is I think even in earlier, see, the militancy in Punjab is started before it started in Kashmir. Okay. But once economic development of Punjab actually started taking root, law and order, if you maintain, there will be no militancy. The same thing, now law and order is being maintained in Kashmir, and it is going to see the progress. But more than that, now the floodgates have opened for Jammu and Ladakh, because these two are exceedingly beautiful places. Okay. And, Kashmir is very beautiful indeed, but Ladakh has its own, beauty, and it has been kept out of development for, like there was a token development, at least in Kashmir. There has been no development in Ladakh, except for the military installations. And the pace of development has gone up in Ladakh, in Jammu, and then you will see much more development coming across from these two areas of J&K. And see, ultimately, if someone doesn't want to develop, it's also up to you. Like there is one part of Andaman and Nicobar, they said we don't want to, they are part of India, but nobody is allowed there. Right? So you can be that if you want, but that doesn't give you
that's an island in near Bay of Bengal, right?
Yes, part of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. One island, they say no contact is allowed.
Yeah.
So if you want isolationism, you can get isolationism, but that doesn't give you progress.
Right.
If you want progress, then you have to integrate, you have to build. And even the other element has happened is that when the people of Pakistan controlled Kashmir, they look at this. They realize that, we are better off with India. And now there has become a movement that started there saying, we don't want to be part of Pakistan.
Right. I remember those protests going on there.
Yes. So because, see, India has always claimed that. And, the problem is that China wants to claim it. So the earlier it happens, it's better for us.
Yeah. India also keeps those administrative
Seats,
areas, administrative seats in the Kashmir Parliament, Kashmir Assembly. Yeah. Okay.
Kashmir Assembly and Indian Assembly also, Indian Parliament also.
Okay, for
there
the
are
MP
seats
seats
reserved for Kashmir. Yeah, the Rajya Sabha nominations and Lok Sabha seats also.
Okay, so that was it about Article 370, life in Jammu and Kashmir before Article 370 and after Article 3, after the abdication of Article 370. If you like the episode, do like us on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to this episode on Spotify or Apple Podcast or any other podcasting platform, do follow us there and share this episode with your friends and family who you think will be interested in such topics. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.